Let's start it. Good evening and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 5th IUCN CEC East Asia Members Sharing Session, which focuses on youth engagement in conservation. My name is Hanying Li, the Regional Vice Chair taking care of East Asia, which covers mainly Mongolia, China, North Korea, South Korea, and Japan. As you can see from the poster, today we have 3 speakers. Let's first invite our guest speaker, Jason Pittman, who is the CEC Regional Vice Chair for Oceania, to share with us information of the Youth Environmental Education Forum, which will be held in Australia next year. Without further ado, as we've already a little bit late, Jason, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that introduction, and welcome to everyone meeting today. I'm very excited to discuss the upcoming World Environmental Education Congress, and I'll just quickly present my slides. Won't be a moment. Please let me know if you can see this all well. Yep, brilliant. Excellent. So the 13th World Environmental Education Congress will be happening in Perth, Western Australia, and that'll be happening on the 21st to the 25th of September next year. Now, what I'm very excited about with this upcoming Congress is it will be held here in Perth, which is my hometown, which is on Whadjuk Noongar country. So the Whadjuk Noongar peoples, I'd just like to pay my acknowledgements to their elders past and present, and they are the traditional owners of the Perth lands and waters in which we'll be meeting next year. So if you're not familiar with what the World Environmental Education Congress is, it happens every 2 years in a different country around the world. Last year it was held in Abu Dhabi, and this year, in 2026, will be held in Australia. The Congress is a significant event where it can bring practitioners, teachers, academics, as well as youth and young people to come together to talk about critical issues that are facing environmental education around the world. It also talks about the importance of education in terms of furthering environmental causes and sustainability. And that's across not just schools, but also things that are happening in civic institutions, maybe like zoos, museums, botanic gardens, as well as informal education, so things that are happening within the community and at home. With it happening within Australia, it is also a unique opportunity in that a lot of these congresses are usually held in large convention centres, which we will be doing, but there's also going to be a very strong element of going out on country, so out into the Australian environment, so that you can actually understand and gather key concepts in terms of environmental education that happens here. With that, there is also a co-design process happening with the First Nations and traditional owners of Perth. And we've constructed this learning journey that will happen throughout the Congress. So the first day is Experience Country. And when I say country, that's the land and waters of Perth. So when you go out on that first day, you get to, the intent will be that people can experience country. And then they come back together to have those critical conversations, understanding what they've experienced. And then on the final day, we go back out into the environment to, again, solidify and truly unpick some of those critical discussions that have happened over the past 5 days. So what I'd like to leave with this group is understanding this journey of going out into the environment, coming back together to have those critical conversations, and then going back out again is a question that I'd like to pitch to this group. What would you like the world to learn about when it comes to environmental education? You don't necessarily answer that now, but if you've got some key ideas that you'd like people to truly learn about environmental education from a world perspective, feel free to put it through the chats. And maybe if it's kind of bringing an idea to you, feel free to reach out to your peers. Something could be generating through that. So that's something I'd like to see through the chat channel today, is if there's anything that you really want people to grasp to further environmental education and sustainability, would love to hear your thoughts. What I'm also really excited about with this Congress is that there will be the Youth Environmental Education Congress. Now, previously, this was held as a bit of a side event through the week. In 2026, the Youth Environmental Education Congress will have just as equal standing to the entirety of the event. So everything that is going to happen at this Congress will include youth at the table. Now, why is this so exciting? Is one, this will be the first time where we are going to ensure that youth is at the table at every conversation, but we're also establishing the Young Leaders Committee. Now, this is currently open at the moment for applications and expressions of interest. And the intent is that we are going to have 28 members representing the 12 international regions. And each region will have ideally 2 members, and those who are eligible are youth, ages 12 to 25, and young people 25 to 35. If this is something that you're really interested in, there is an application process, and I highly recommend you reach out. And how that looks is the application process is very straightforward. What we are asking for is for you to go onto the website, which I'll share through after this. And we want you to tell your story in any way that feels most appropriate to you, in how you want to further environmental education or further sustainability. Now, you can submit this by a written story or essay. You can submit it as a video. It can be a series of photos. It can be an artwork, or it can be a combination of all 4 things. It's completely up to you. The deadline for applications are closing on Friday, the 16th of May this year. So you've got a little while to prepare your application. It isn't an onerous process. It is quite straightforward. Keep in mind, if you are successful, the Young Leaders Committee, we would be meeting every 6 weeks for the rest of the year online, and then monthly in 2026. So hopefully you'll get to meet international peers if this is something that you're interested in. Even if you weren't necessarily interested in joining the Young Leaders Committee, there are other avenues to get involved, and you can easily just send us an email and we can have a conversation. What is also happening with the Young Leaders Committee is that there is going to be a mentorship program surrounding this. So there is going to be a connection between the Young Leaders Committee, but also a peer network of young people as well as those who have had experience in this space and can act as a mentor. So even if you don't want to sit on the Young Leaders Committee, you can get involved in terms of some mentor program. Now, this Congress is happening with some key themes that we are wanting the world to experience. And this might actually be of interest if you are considering applying for the Young Leaders Committee, or if you have an idea that you'd like to see happen with the World Environmental Education Congress. So those 6 themes are connection to country, so your connection to land and waters, Uja Kep Danju, which is in Noongar, beyond regenerative understanding, Nadajing Maladini Kadajini, reclaiming and revolutionizing education, Karawera Marawan Korogan Kadajini. The 4th is inspire, change, and empower agency, so Wulawulaware Marawan Young. Number 5 is decision making and sense of justice, so Kadajini Warani, where Malaki Benny. And then number 6 is power of partnerships and shared outcomes. So that's Madawan Abani, Danju Ware, White Young. Now, with these 6 themes at this Congress, if you, as a young person wanting to get involved, or if you're a researcher or academic teacher or in the professional space and would like to submit potentially an abstract or an activation or a topic discussion, whatever your thoughts are, I've kind of framed a series of questions around these 6 themes that could help you frame an abstract or an idea in that you'd like to see happen. So for number 1, so connection to country, we've got the 4 SDGs that align to this theme. But one of the key questions I'd be asking is, how should we reconnect people to their local land and waters, fostering stewardship, community engagement, and a deep appreciation for the natural world? So if you've got a project or an abstract, or if you're seeing your community work in this space, it could be an opportunity to promote your work at the next week. Number 2, beyond regenerative understanding, and the SDGs that aligns to are up on the screen for you. And the question I'd be asking is, how can we inspire the adoption of low carbon economies and sustainable practices that promote long-term environmental health? So if you're a young person who is looking at, for example, low carbon economies or how the economy can shift with the climate crisis, this could be a question that you could pivot some ideas around. The third, which is reclaiming and revolutionizing education. The question I'd be asking is, how can we respect and integrate diverse perspectives, leading to a more inclusive and effective learning environment? Sustainability involves us all. It's a collective action. And through that, we need collective experiences and different diverse perspectives. And this is why we brought youth up to the table, to ensure that perspective is heard. Fourth is inspiring change and empowering agency. So the question I'd be asking is, how can we build agency, encouraging others to become active participants in societal change and problem solving? We know environmental challenges, particularly like climate change, are wicked problems that require really complex thinking. And we want to ensure everyone has a chance to be at that table. Number 5, decision-making and sense of justice. How can we inspire ethical decision-making to tackle complex issues related to climate change and social equity? Now, I don't know about everyone else's experiences here online, but when I speak to youth and young people, this resonates deeply with what is happening out in, whether it be in schools, families, or in the wider community. I know that this sentiment runs deep in a lot of young people. So again, this is why we're elevating the Young Leaders Committee to ensure that that voice is heard. And then the last theme is power of partnerships and shared outcomes. So a question I'd be posing to you all is, how can we inspire collective efforts and shared goals for a more sustainable future? I know these questions are quite high level, but the amazing work that is happening throughout the world, it ensures that everyone has an opportunity to critically think about what they're doing and how they can promote it. So with those kind of questions, I'd actually like to lend it back to you all and go back to the very first question that I posited at the start, was, what would you like the world to learn about environmental education and sustainability? And I'd actually love to open up to a very quick discussion if that has resonated with yourself or brought up some thoughts, or if you've also got some questions for myself. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Thank you, Jason, for the introduction. Very brief and also very detailed, with some key information about the why. It's YEEC as well as WEEC. So it's World Environmental Education Conference as well as the Youth Environmental Education Conference. Anybody has any feedbacks or in terms of Jason's first question, how would you like the world to learn about conservation and environment?
So I can go back to that first slide if that helps. Did it resonate with any? What would be one thing that you'd like the world to learn about what you might be working on when it comes to the environment or conservation?
Please feel free to unmute. You can do that yourself and just discuss with Jason directly.
There we go.
Jason, when is the registration for this event beginning?
So registrations will open in the next couple of months. So we haven't actually opened registrations yet. But if you are interested in knowing a little bit more about that process, feel free to email through and I can answer any kind of questions you may have. The registrations will open in the next couple of months. But if you are aware of any young people who might be interested in the Congress, particularly the youth side, the expression of interest for the Young Leaders Committee is open now. And I strongly encourage you to send that information around to any young people that you might be working with. And that's anyone who's under the age of 35.
I'll try to share it with some students.
That'd be brilliant. Thank you. Oh, Daniel, I think you're on mute.
Oh, I'm just thinking about like, the question, like, what would the world learn about?
Is there anything kind of resonating? Like if you had the chance to say, you need to listen to us listen to us around this kind of topic or this particular matter, is there anything that you'd want to tell an international audience around the environmental conservation? What's the one thing you'd want them to learn?
I mean, I might want people to raise the people's awareness of finding the balance between developing economy and protect the environment. But I think that's a very hard question to solve, because you don't prioritize people's life in front of animals' life. So yeah, it's just a question, but I don't know the solution.
And to be honest, I don't think many of us do. And that's the idea, is that bring these hard questions to the table, because we've got the smarts to do it and we need those opportunities to talk together about it. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask those hard questions, because it gets people to critically think. Any other kind of thoughts? Or I can see there might be a few things in the chat as well.
We will be sharing the information that Jason just introduced to all the CEC members. I think we can do it through the CEC network, and then to ask people what they would like the world to learn about conservation or about our work. Then probably, Jason, you would have more ideas. I could email you my comments on all my ideas later afterwards, because we don't have enough time now, and we still have 2 more presenters to share their experiences, right? So okay, Jason, thank you so much for the introduction. And you are based in Australia. It's a weekend, 7:30 p.m. for you. I hope you'll continue go back to enjoy a wonderful weekend. and we'll be in touch. And I also will publicize, let more people know here in China about this upcoming event, and hopefully there'll be more Chinese youth to join and to register to be one of either the YL Youth Leaders Committee or just to register to participate in the event.
Absolutely. And if you've got any ideas, not just as a participant, but if you'd like to host something, whether that be, a panel discussion or, I don't know, a workshop, please reach out, because we'd love to have all those kind of different perspectives to be shared at this event. So if you've got any ideas, please let us know.
Okay.
I look forward to hearing from the other presenters.
Okay. Jason, did you leave your, sorry, I may probably missed that slide. Did you leave your email at the end of the slide? Or you can just put it in the chat box.
I'll put it in the chat box, and I'll also I'll send these slides to you as well, and you can share that amongst the group as well.
Great. I'll add your email, and then yeah, I think you will. I'm sure you will add your email address before sending it to me, and then I will share it with the youth groups here as well as the CEC members in this region.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Great. Sure. Thank you, Jason, for the sharing. And so without further ado, let's welcome our one of the youth presenter. That's Daniel Wang, to share his experience in species research and discovery. As a 17 years old senior high school student, Daniel has been involved in a big number of research in different parts of the world. I remember sometimes when I contacted him, he's somewhere in the jungle in Malaysia or somewhere in the US, and now he's based in UK. Just also, there's a good news I'd like to share with all of you is just recently, Daniel won the gold medal of the British Biology Olympiad 2025. So that's a big step accomplishment. Congratulations to Daniel. Let's hear Daniel to introduce himself and his work. Daniel, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Han, for introduction. And thanks for Iris Xu, I saw in the comment, congratulations me. And so now I'll share my screen. Okay, and so good morning or good afternoon or evening, everyone. I'm so glad and honored to have such an opportunity to share my personal stories with you guys. And today my topic is humans, nature, and animals. Wait, sorry. So first, please let me introduce myself. My name is Daniel Wang, and is currently in a UK high school. And I've had a deep passion for animals and nature, especially insects, since I was 6. It all began with 3 lizards my family kept many years ago. And at that time, I hadn't even started kindergarten, but I was just fascinated by those small animals, like their long tails and their unique behaviors and their shape. And even the crickets the lizard ate seemed so special, and they all deeply attracted me. So from then on, I fell deeply in love with animals, and 13 years have just passed in blink of an eye. And when I entered elementary school, I joined countless nature exploration groups, as Ms. Han Ying said. So I following experts, guides, and researchers to discover and document wildlife every vacation. And I've been lucky enough to join scientific expeditions to places like Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, India, Thailand, United States, and even South Korea. Through all these experiences, something interesting happened, which is like I didn't just study nature anymore. Without even realizing it, I become a part of nature, and nature become part of me. Through those experiences, my love and reverence for nature grew stronger and stronger, while my knowledge and skills gradually expanded as well. And so the first picture, as you can see, I'm feeding my pets, which is, I think by that time is a tarantula, and the lizard is on the left tank. And every day I devour books about animals and nature. So literally many of my books at home are completely worn out from being read so many times. And so if there's a friend come to my home and they ask about, oh, what's the book about? I'll just introduce to them because they cannot see the cover. When I got my first iPad, I started following all these awesome. I just started following all these awesome nature blogs and documentary teams. Days after days, I was well known for being a nature enthusiast in my school. And every time when people saw creatures they didn't know, like an animal, like insects or birds, or even the flowers, they come to me, they send a picture and ask, oh, Daniel, what is this? And I can always answer the questions, at least a little bit. And after entering middle school, my understanding of nature and animals deepened, and my activities became to involve something deeper. In the summer of my first year of middle school, which is 7th grade, I traveled to Anhui, China, to participate in the China Youth Biodiversity Competition. And there I recorded animals biodiversity in Huangshan, which is one of the most famous mountains in China. And I captured and preserved insect specimens for taxonomy uses. And I took part in counting and analyzing insect species attracted by light traps. That is an event held by like PhD students from Anhui Agricultural University. So I helped him to collect data and specimens. And one of the most memorable stuff is just like I won 1.5K RMB in the photography contest. And the picture on the left lower corner is the picture that I won the photography contest. So, and I took all the pictures I used in my PowerPoint. And after returning from Anhui, I created a short video documenting what I did during my summer break. Our vice principal saw it and found it very fascinating. She was like, oh, I haven't seen a single student like you, and with like such unique passion. And so she encouraged me to establish an animal club at our school. Over the next 3.5 years, every Thursday, I led my team members to explore and learn about animals and nature, especially insects. So I eventually changed my name to Insects Club instead of Animal Club. And in my club, I guided students in recording campus biodiversity. So I took them to school because our school located near a mountain, and there are many birds and insects that live in our school, and there are even snakes in our school. So I took them to record the biodiversity, and we made a brochure of what is also living in our campus. And I took them make insect specimens, and I brought my mantises and beetles I kept from my home for behavior observation. And as you can see, the first picture, they're taking pictures of my mantis using like iPhone. And I also introduced them to macro photography and helped them uncover the unique aspects of wildlife. So as you can see the pictures, like the second one, we're discovering the apid living in the tree. And so I also mentored them in conducting independent research on nature-related topics that interest them. The club received consistent praise from both students and teachers, who said such society taught them so much and have an enormous impact on the way they treat those inconspicuous creatures, and deepening their love and respect for nature. And there's a student I remember the most, which is a boy student. After he entered my society, on every vacation, when he saw any insect he saw, he would just take photos to me and say, "Oh, I saw this. Is this like super bear, or this is a common species?" And he will record the animals he saw. And by now, which is like after 1.5 years, I think he record more than like 200 species. And I think that's very interesting because I never know my society can have like such a large impact on a student. And the pictures on the last picture on the PowerPoint shows like the beetle specimens I taught them how to make. And yeah, that's a good experience and memorable time when I was in my previous school. And later, I joined the National Zoological Museum of China as a volunteer. And I'm responsible for giving free guided tours in the insects gallery every Saturday afternoon. And during these weekly sessions, I made an effort to observe and summarize the preference of our visitors. As we can see, most of them whom were children under 14. So I adjust my explanations by emphasizing topics they found engaging and simplifying those they didn't. And since the museum displays only preserved dead specimens, I often brought my live insects from my personal collections. It's usually a stag beetle or a walking stick, to let the children gently touch and interact with them up close, which they absolutely loved. And additionally, in my spare time on weekends, I help the museum make insect specimens as well. So if you ever visit the National Zoological Museum of China, there's a good chance you'll see my specimens in this insects exhibits that I personally made. And I also involved in many events of that the Chinese Academy of Science held, and I just become the volunteers. So every time they will hold any events, they will just call me, and I'll just go. And through my experiences at the Zoological Museum, I gradually become comfortable and skilled at engaging with strangers and sharing knowledge. So this confidence led me to step onto even bigger stages. I applied to speak at a TEDx event where I addressed hundreds of high school students and external guests on the inseparable relationship between humans and nature. That is my topic. And my talk was met with enthusiastic applause. And later, I also shared my efforts in promoting nature education and zoological knowledge at the China Youth Volunteer Conference, which is the right lower corner picture. It was there that I met many like-minded teachers and peers who, like me, are dedicated to do something about our planets. And luckily, in that conference, I also met Ms. Han Ying, and who has like very deep influence to me. And later, I continued to collaborating with the Xinfeiyang Public Welfare Team, which I met at the conference as well. And through their platform, I worked with like-minded friends to organize more nature and insect-themed activities for children. I brought along many my collections and live insects, hoping to inspire the next generation to develop a love and appreciation for nature. Well, maybe it's not just for next generation, because as you can see, the second pictures, there are also many adults who are very surprised about how those animals behaved, and they are just fascinated by those insects as well. And so it's my way of contributing to a future where more young minds cherish and protect our natural world. And starting last year, I launched a personal account on Bilibili, which is a Chinese version of YouTube. And on that platform, I shared my adventures and discoveries. I'm not sure how many people now, like the audience, you would like to watch videos about how animals behave and how I documenting animals in the wild. But I found like more people than I previously thought are interested in such field. And from exploring animals markets in Thailand, which is the videos I took simultaneously as I joined IUCN CEC, which is Ms. Han previously said. And I also conducting field research with prestigious scientists in Malaysia rainforest. And from helping eradicate invasive crayfish in Cambridge to documenting the life cycle of my pet walking sticks. So far, my videos have surpassed 1 million views. That has happened 3 days ago. And I gained over 5K followers. So what brings me the greatest joy after each upload is reading viewers' comments. And most of the viewers expresses gratitude for showing them unseen perspective of nature and helping wildlife enthusiasts deepening their understanding. Many also confess they used to fear insects, even animals, but after watching my content, they began to finding them cute or fascinating, and some even felt inspired to learn more about insects and invertebrates. So seeing such feedback makes me feel proudly worthwhile for the time and energy and effort I paid. And reading these comments from the viewers, I feel like I'm looking at my childhood self again, because on that platform, many of the viewers are teenagers. So I feel like I'm looking a younger version of me, the curious boy who was captivated by fascinating nature documentaries and delighting in the pure joy of discovering new knowledge. So you might not recognize those screenshots I took, which is the comments, but they're all very kind and like heartwarming comments. And that is a large reason why I continue to make my videos. And so this is exactly why I keep creating. Although every video I made involved a large amount of cost, both in money and financial support, but I still do it, which is to keep to pass on that same spark of wonder that once ignited my own passion. Like every aha or wow, interesting moments I see in the comments section feels like tending to countless tiny flames of curiosity and watching them grow into shared bonfire of appreciation for nature's marvels. After all, isn't this how conservation begins? Not with grand gestures or talks, but with that first magical moment when a child point at a screen and whisper, wow, I never know an insect could be this beautiful, or oh, ants, they could communicate with others so effectively. But everything I've shared so far has mostly about spreading the beauty of nature at my school level, or city, or national level. And last year, however, thanks to a recommendation, from Ms. Han Ying. I finally have the stage to connect with the global community. So last September, I attended the IUCN Regional Conservation Forum in Bangkok, Thailand, as a Chinese youth representative. There, I met people from all over the world. There are experts from marine conservation organizations who are dedicated to plant more coral reefs. And there are government officials from Southeast Asia country. And there are also leaders of nature reserves and representatives from developing countries seeking assistance about how to solve natural problem and conflict, and simultaneously how to address people's life. And there are specialists sharing the latest advancement in their fields. And of course, there were also many young people like me, full of passion for nature, which is the picture on the left lower corner. And luckily, there are one fellow students I met there, also came to the talk today. And my role there was first and foremost to learn, because I'm a teenager, and there are too many people who are like so sophisticated and have many accomplishments. So my goal is just to learn, but also to share what China have been doing in environmental protection and what the new generation is contributing, like me. And beyond that, I also helped with event organization and design. Like I'm drawing a panda like painting on the right. And listening to their stories, I gained so much knowledge, but it also made me reflect deeply. Like, while most discussions at the forum focused on the progress and success stories, the conflicts between human and nature still exist, and they cannot be ignored. Many Asian countries still struggled with underdevelopment. And one of my friends from Laos, he says like they're relying heavily on exploiting natural resources like deforestation to sustain their economies. And meanwhile, local communities often live in extreme poverty, where even basic needs like food and clothing are not guaranteed. So in such conditions, who has the luxury to care about biodiversity, the endangered animal species, plastic pollutions, or shuttle down factories that contaminate waters? So seeing the reality they describe as very heartbreaking, but I understood. After all, if a nation cannot even ensure its people's own survival, how can they prioritize anything else? So that is the question I was thinking about on the beginning of this forum. Like Dr. Jason said, I've been searching for the answer of the question, but for many years, but I just didn't. I don't have the answer. But what I do know is that real conservation isn't just about protecting nature. It's about finding a balance where both people and the planet can thrive. And that's a challenge we all need to face together. So to take a very notable examples, China's green peacock are one of the rarest birds in the world. And it's also a very symbolic species in Chinese history. And their primary habitat is the Red River Valley in Yunnan, a south province in China. But a few years ago, the governments there intended to build a power station, which meant that the entire downstream, the habitat of the green peacock, would be flooded. The whole community was shocked when this happened. Like, how can the government make such decisions? And if this hydroelectric power plant once built will be no different from directly killing the last green peacock population in China. And fortunately, a Chinese environmental protection organization called Friends of Nature intervened, spent a lot of power and resources. Even the government and law enforcement agencies have intervened. And finally, through nearly a decade of hard work, Friend of Nature, they finally won the lawsuit. And they convinced the governments that Yunnan does not need to build a hydroelectric power plant to create those excess electricity. There are already a bunch of electricity wasted nowadays, so there's just no need. And China's last green peacock habitat is preserved, and that is a very good news. And to us who worked to protect the environment, but that case, a successful case, is just still only count as a small percentage of cases that happen. Most of the time, the government they focus more on economy development, so just choose to ignore the animals and biodiversity. And the pioneer of nature and animal protection, Dr. Jane Goodall, on the right upper corner, she once said that she was just desperate to see how society, the times were changing, and how much wildlife was being hunted, and how much habitat was being destroyed, and how few people seem to really care. Because most of people, they only care about their own dogs and cats. So they just don't care about wildlife. And she says that she doesn't see hope, but she's still doing her best to help the planet solve this problem and spreading the word about the current situation and trying to come up with solutions that will hopefully draw attention to the environment and biodiversity that make people pay attention to it. And people ask her about, oh, why do you still do it, even though you didn't see hope? She said, if I don't even do it, who will? Nowadays, with all the political activities, the global environment is getting worse and worse. Although there are some statistics showing, from some perspective, the environment has become better, but that's actually very superficial. And some leaders of superpowers and large countries, they even think that global warming is not true. It's fake. It's propaganda. Or many people think that, if the Earth is destroyed, then we can just leave the Earth and move to another planet. But is this really feasible? Instead of paying a lot of attention and materials resources and consuming the present resources to prepare for the future, when things go wrong, why don't we protect the Earth and cherish and improve the status while we can still save it? And by saying this word, it just remind me example of, there's a biomed company, I think, in United States, who are working on to take back those extinct animals, such as animals that lived maybe 1 million years ago, like dinosaurs, and those large version of elephants. But still the same, why should we spend a lot of money on taking those already extincted animals back? And instead, we can just pay those resources to build more national park and to let more people know we need to cherish the biodiversity. So as far as what will happen in the future, what will become of the Earth and what will happen to biodiversity and the environment, I don't really know. Actually, I have no idea. But I will do my part to spread the knowledge of environmental protection and raise the awareness of people to protect animals and do something meaningful. I also hope that in the future, people will pay more attention to this field and make effective changes before everything is just too late. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Daniel. Actually, I heard Daniel talking at a conference before. It was very impressive, but I haven't heard what he just shared with us, which is very inspiring and touching, at least to me, to myself. What a great and precious personal story, and also personal reflections that you have on conservation. I think you also added additional answers to the question that Jason just asked earlier. Maybe you could give it further thoughts and share it with Jason if you want. Thank you again for the wonderful presentation. We have some time before going to Adam's presentation. So how about we open the floor to few questions and reflections, comments? Feel free to unmute.
Hello.
Yes, Saeed, we can hear you.
Are you listening me? I am Saeed Aftab from Pakistan, and I am running my organization, Himalayan Conservation and Rural Sport Program. We established this organization in 2013, and my background is in, I did my MSc in botany and specialized in ethnobotany, and later I did my MRES environmental biology from UK through Chevening scholarship. And I worked in national parks, Machara national parks, and some other protected areas. So the taxonomy, phytosociology, and ecology is my core interest area. And nowadays I am confirming the plant species we have there in the National Herbarium. Dr. Stewart collected from 1948 to 1972, and we are a team, and now we are confirming those species from all over Pakistan, and we have started this project from Azad Jammu and Kashmir. So we are involving the research students at master and MPhil level for the collection, identification, and confirmation. And we are focusing on the phytosociological parameters. And if this group will exist, and I will suggest we must continue our efforts, and after some intervals, like after 1 month, 2 months, or even 3 months, we have to organize such webinars and where we can share our experiences together. Like Daniel experience, he is a young guy and he worked a lot. And we have here Pakistan Natural History, Pakistan Museum of Natural History. And we have a very huge insects collection. And I have 3-4 best known entomologists in my friend circle. And at a later stage, I will share the insects profile of Pakistan as well, because I am considering myself as a student of biodiversity conservation as well. Although I'm a botanist, taxonomist, and ecologist, but I have had the experience of working in the national parks and protected areas where, and my subject during my BSc zoology was my favorite subject. So I have the knowledge of zoological or ancient kingdom as well. So I appreciate all members' efforts, especially Daniel shared his very concrete research and interest-based biodiversity profile, and his journey is amazing and it's very impressive. So thank you very much. I will suggest this group. We have WhatsApp numbers and we can share even weekly or daily basis some achievements and linkages. And as we all know, this is a global perspective as we are bound and our countries are signatories of CITES and SDGs are there, and we have some bindings to accomplish and to achieve those sustainable development goals and targets by 2030. So we can contribute at global level, but we can do such actions at local level with the global significance. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir, for sharing your personal info. And by listening to your experiences, I'm really appreciate and respect to what you have done. And I've also been interested in taxonomy. So, and actually I've discovered a new insect species. So, and I think as you said, we can just keep in touch and to make a world better place. Maybe that's too general, but that's what you're going to do. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very welcome.
Thank you both. Before we have others to comment or reflect, I suggest before we could think of another platform to share and link us, let's put the personal emails, your contact information in the chat box so that we will not lost each other after the webinar ends. Yes, so Saeed and Daniel, please feel free to put your contact information there if you like to be contacted by the other participants. And anybody else want to share his or her reflections or comments on Daniel's presentation?
Yes, I have shared my email ID here, and if we all will share the email, and I have already shared my WhatsApp number, and I'm sharing again.
Great, got it, thanks.
Yeah, Daniel, I really like your photographs. Do you have any of them up on any of the social media, Instagram, Facebook, or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I have, but I rarely post my pictures.
Oh.
My main platform is just Bilibili, which is Chinese version YouTube, and I'll post majority of my pictures I took in my WeChat. So I do have platform, but I just don't use them so often.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Professor Arakaki, for your information, Daniel is also at the last year of the high school, senior high school, and I think he's very busy now for applying for university. Maybe once Daniel started your university life, you could have more chance to share your information in social media.
Yeah, I will do.
Okay, great. Thank you. We will also have time after Adam's presentation. So let's welcome Adam to share his experience. As I mentioned, Daniel is a 17-year-old high school student, and Adam is a 16-year-old high school student. And yeah, they're both very young but very experienced. Adam, his main research was the link between habitat change of the North China leopard and the urbanization of Beijing. He was one of the young speakers at 2 UN COP meetings on climate change, and has taken a lot of efforts, similar like Daniel, to mobilize fellow youth to join him in nature conservation. So Adam, the floor is yours.
All right, I'll first share my screen. Yep, this one. All right, so okay, I see it. Are you guys seeing this?
Yes, we can see it.
Presentation. Yeah, all right. So, hi, my name's Adam Gao, and so first briefly introduce myself. I've already dedicating this North China leopards protection for over 9 years, which is starting from 2016 when I was just about 9 years old. So it was a great experience. And in last November, I was invited by the United Nations Climate Change Conference, which is UNFCCC, and I delivered a speech in Azerbaijan. Yeah, and I also posted my own scientific research report on China Nature, and also I have my own documentary. Also, I'm going to collab with WeChat to raise awareness, which I'll talk about it later. Okay, so first, what is North China leopards? North China leopard is a subspecies that only live around China. So what is special about it? Or what is the difference between North China leopard and other leopard species? I believe it's because first it's about the environment that it lives in. First, it is the only leopard species or big cat species that live around North China. Also, you can see in other leopard species, except the snow leopards and also the black leopards, that they all have a solid spot on their leather or their skin. But different with the North China leopard, when you examine them closely, you can see that there's actually an empty spot. You can like an empty at the center of his black spot. So I think that's pretty gorgeous. Yeah. And so what is the current problem about North China leopard is, since it originally lived around Beijing, but due to human demand of natural energy and the urbanization of land have become more intense, the habitat of the North China leopards have gradually break down and they have nowhere to go. So they have to move out from Beijing and far away to Shanxi or Hebei. So it's like 300 to 500 kilometers away from Beijing. So what we are aiming to do is we're trying to bring it back, because the leaf of those China leopards is not only harmful to themselves because they're not living in their original habitats, they're not feel free there, and they're not satisfied of the demands of food there, but also is actually damaging the whole environment of Beijing, because like the Serengeti rules have said that like ecosystem can be regulated through top-down regulation or top-down control, which is the predators are always controlling the herbivores populations, and which will indirectly influence the plant species population too. So after the lack of North China leopards, the Beijing mountainous area was being just going down because their lack of control of the herbivores, and some of these kind of populations are just growing rapidly. So what should we do to drag them back? Shall we just like airdropping some leopards back to Beijing? We shouldn't do so, right? Because oh wait, I think so before talking about that, I will like first talk about the causes of the vanishing. So why does North China leopard leave Beijing? I think the most important reason why they leave is because the destruction of the ecological environment and also the fragmentation of the food chain. So first, the destruction of the ecological environment. So with the urbanization of the wilderness, the natural habitat have been fragmented into isolated greenlands. So which is they're kind of separated from, they're just separated apart. So if they're not connecting, the animal variety can be made sure, and also the demands of prey species of the nocturnal leopard can't be satisfied because there's not enough population for them. So, which means that which unable to support the survival of the leopards, and because because the number of the leopards is very limited in one of the isolated islands, so they're not being able to reproduce. So another reason is that, but I mean, this phenomenon is not only affects the survival of the nocturnal leopard, but it also poses a threat to other wildlife species. For example, hogbagger or like dog barger, raccoons, leopard cats, all those prey species, and which actually turn out to another very important factor that causes the vanishing of nocturnal leopard, which is the fragmentation of the food chain. So, talking about the fragmentation of the food chain, since the nocturnal leopard is a kind of apex predators like lions or tigers in those savannas, they actually relies on a very healthy and well established food chain. Like, I think for one nocturnal leopards to live in to survive, they actually requires 3,000 kilograms of prey species for only one single leopard. So, so undoubtedly, the loss of prey species have a major impact on the leopards populations. And what triggers that? The reduction is is the reduction of hunting and subsistence space for farmers, like especially when those cattle or gazelles are going to farmers' land and maybe eating their veggies. They're trying to hunt them or just to just make them away and even kill them. But also, like when there are demands of more land, the farmers are actually trying to gather those wilderness land to their own, and actually kind of make forcing those prey species to move out. So I think it's also caused the vanishing of the nocturnal leopard. So, so what do? We actually started a new program called Bring the Leopards Back, and it was first initiated by CFCA, which is China Fieldwork Conservation Alliance, and I was joining them since 2018, and when I was just 9 years old, and I was honored to be a volunteer, and our work was just quite simple. Just we need to detect the number of the prey species, but also to detect the number of leopards and how far does the leopards away from Beijing. So the bringing leopards back actually involved 3 steps. First, we need to find the leopards, and second, we need to investigating the way they can come back, and finally, and eventually, we can bring the leopards back. So first, we need to find the leopard and find where are they. So the method that we used is right here. This is the infrared camera that we lay out throughout the whole mountain, and through this we can just find where are they. So using this method, we are able to obtain the dynamic data of the animals without over interrupting their natural life. Because when we over interfering with wilderness, will disrupt the reliability of the research. So after that, whenever any kind of species or animals that go across the infrared cameras, we can just tag it and took a photo of it. And because every animal have a small difference, so we can do this way we can see the population of it. So so how do we achieve this? We actually done this by dividing the study areas into, you can see in the picture at the left, we dividing it into uniform grids and selecting representative monitoring points with each grid to collect data of animal activities to see what they're doing every day and to see the population of it. Also, and gradually, in recent years, our effort actually pay off. So, in 2016, we discovered a stable leopard colonies in Heshun County, which is at Shanxi. You can see at the diagram here. The picture here is our different leopards that we took photo. So so this discovery actually shows that the local ecological environment is gradually recovering and gives us hope that leopards will return eventually, because you can see here so here's some mountain region and it's actually continuously from Shanxi to Beijing, so it's actually only 400 kilometers away from Beijing, which is a huge improvement. And by 2020, a North China leopard was actually discovered in Tuoliang protection area in Hebei. So Hebei was only 300 kilometers away from Beijing, which is increased significantly. We can see the process that is going well. And from the geological distribution of the North China leopard colonies range in Hebei, which is, I believe, is closer to Beijing and is improving since 2016. And here the data shown that from 2012 to 2022, the biomass of the Changjun in Huaiyou district, which is this one, increased from 1.1 thousand kilograms into 3.4 kilograms, which is enormous growth. And the growth rate is around 2.1, 20 and 10%. Similarly with the biomass of the Baihe Kanyan in Yanqing, which increased from 1.6 thousand kilograms to 5.3 kilograms, which is year by year increased by approximately 90%. So, like I just mentioned, for leopards to come back, the very important and initiative step is we have to make sure the prey species have enough populations to make sure when they return, they have enough food to feed on, but not just die out quickly because well, there's actually some surprising discovery, which is the one in the snow, and also leopard cats, which is also a kind of a great predators, but even though it's not at the top of the pyramid, but also maybe the second layer or third layers, it's also feed on a lot of huge animals, huge prey species, and also like these kind of boars that we actually find an enormous amount of it. So, which is a very very significant findings, because are these kind of large animals are representing are those large animals are representing their hosts, there are more and more hosts for the return of the leopards. But surprisingly or sadly, didn't have any sign of the leopards to come back, or didn't take any pictures of the leopards around Beijing. So, but in fact, the reason why we're doing this is not only for protecting the North China leopard, but also if we open our vision through the way of protecting North China leopard, the construction of the ecological corridors is working well in progress. And this is a very important role because it can effectively reduce the habitat fragmentation and enhance the genetic mobility of the biological populations and even maintain this species diversity. And also, through this, we can reduce the genetic diversity, which is we can artificially do a kind of a natural selection and make one of the species become more advanced and make it a better species that can adapt more and more habitats. And also, so what is the ecological corridor? To be specific, is as I mentioned above, the isolated green island was a separation of different forests, and ecological corridor was just at the other hand. Ecological corridor is we should connect all those separated, isolated green island together and make it a continuously large forest, which can provide more opportunities for other endangered species to survive and thrive. Also, in addition, connecting fragmented habitats brings additional environment benefits. Through the restoration of the vegetation and the reconstruction of the forest, the baseline level of the forestry carbon sinks can be effectively increased, and the ability of the natural ecosystems to absorb and store carbon dioxide can be enhanced, thus realizing a reduction in the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So, in the process of protecting wildlife animals, it's not only protecting wildlife animals, but more importantly, it's actually help solve the global problem, which is climate change. And in the future, what I'm trying to do is trying to raise more and more people's awareness, because nowadays, even though we have a big progress and these kind of steps that we take are very successful, but a huge problem that we didn't conquer is that not much people are actually aware the problem, not aware the importance of protecting wildlife animals. Therefore, I'm going to collab with WeChat, which have a huge number of users, over 1.3 billion people in China. So through this way, when we are advertising this into the whole China or even to the whole global, they can, in order to influence more and more teenagers and make them aware the importance of this problem, and maybe more people will join to the protection of endangered animals, maybe not North China leopards, but they'll realize that protecting animals is not only protecting another species, but also it's a step that can make the world better. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Adam, for a very good presentation. This looks like a very professional research to me, and I don't know what other participants think about it. Comments, please? Yes, Saeed, please. You're on mute. Saeed, you're on mute. I saw you raise your hand, but let's see. Saeed.
Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Are you listening? Okay. We worked in habitat restoration in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and he did very well and with scientific manners, and he considered ecosystem restoration, habitat specifically for the leopard, and many things I have recalled during his presentation, and I appreciate his efforts in this young age, and I will call him a young scientist. And there must be a platform where the other young scientists around the world, they can see his profile and his work and got inspiration from him, and he can share his experiences at college and university level research students, I will suggest, because his work is properly guided and his supervisors, teachers, and associates are very well trained in the subject area, because he considered Sustainable Development Goal 13 climate actions, and he kept in mind the indicators and other descriptions of that SDG as well. So the presentation was very well articulated and scientific. I appreciate.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Really, really appreciate that.
Anybody else?
I have a question. Because like
Yeah.
okay, hi Adam. I've heard about the program as well, but I'm not sure. Do you think the leopard they can stay in Beijing once they come, like, or like more potentially they'll come back to Shanxi where have abundant food and more prey they can eat?
So for myself, actually, I'm just hoping for them to come back, but no one can make sure that they'll actually be capable to come back, because I mean, other things that we do is a great vision. We hope them to come back. We hope everything to happen, because as I mentioned, if they come back, it will be a huge recovery of the local environment and the local atmosphere, because more and more species are damaging due to the loss of the apex predators. So maybe the return of the leopards can trigger some great influence, some positive influence, but we are not sure about that because we're not seeing the progress they already come back. So everything we do is just a vision, but not an actual thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Anybody else? I think this is the first time Daniel and Adam, you listen to each other's presentation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For all of your information, actually, they haven't. They were brought together because of this webinar. They did not know each other before, but they both were deeply engaged in conservation, as you already seen in their presentations. I personally feel another aspect that I'm impressed is they both are taking efforts to mobilize more youth to follow their suit and to get engaged in conservation, as well as also interact with adults. So that is one of the priority areas of the CEC in this 4 years term. That is youth engagement and intergeneration partnerships. This is one of the 4 program priorities for CEC. If you go to the CEC website, you will see that. The other 3 are nature for all and nature education for sustainability, as well as reimagine conservation. Just for your information, I'll leave the floor and 2 others. Dr. Arakaki, I see you already unmuted.
I just wanted to say that 2 presentations were excellent. I thought these 2 young gentlemen are really impressive, and I'm really looking forward to seeing their names pop up in different places. So I'm really encouraged by seeing the quality of their work, and I think if they're representative of the next generation, then I think we have a lot of things to look forward to. Good job, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have just a new participant joined us. Rushani, hi. You are on mute. You could unmute yourself, please.
Sorry for the being late. Time difference make me confused.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, actually, for your information and for all of your information, we will be put the recording of the webinar on the IUCN CEC YouTube channel, so that people who registered or those who didn't register could be able to see the presentations. I'm sure you'll be very impressed, like all of us, on the presentations after you see on YouTube. But Roshni, for now, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, namaste everyone. This is Roshni Adhikari Pathak from Nepal. I'm a CEC Commission member as well, and my experience is more with the communication. I started my journey from before 24 years back with the radio, and after then television and other development sectors, but all are related to the environment and conservation. And recently I have completed my tenure as a president of Nepal Forum of Environmental Journalists. And currently I'm serving as a board member in the Small Mammal Conservation and Research Foundation. And I'm also a life member in the Bird Conservation Nepal. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to introduce myself.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Any other reflections or comments on either Adam's or Daniel's presentation?
Oh, no, sorry, because I just get into it. Yeah.
Yes, I wonder whether other participants, whether there's further comments or any discussion you'd like to raise?
I'll go through the YouTube video first later on, and maybe if I have something there, then I'll send you the comment later. Thank you.
Thanks, Shani. I think the video will be put up on YouTube in around less than a week. I'll be working with my colleagues to get that done as soon as possible.
Okay.
And so for others, any comments? Let me just ask a question to Adam. Adam, as I just mentioned, it's also your first time to hear Daniel's presentation, right?
Yeah.
No pressure. Just I would like, just out of curiosity, what's your reflections or comments on Daniel's presentation?
I think it's a pretty great presentation, because I see a lot of visual pictures that directly showing his work, his dedication into the protection of wildlife and the discovery of new species, especially insects. Even though I'm quite afraid of it, but yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah.
Okay, great. As all of us heard what Jason has mentioned, there are the Youth Environmental Education Conference next year that will be held in Perth, Australia. That is a good opportunity for youth like you to share your experiences and to mobilize more people, not only in China, but globally, to get involved in conservation. And as I know, there's also other opportunities. I would strongly encourage you both to attend. Like, for example, the World Conservation Congress, which will be held in early October this year in Abu Dhabi. That is also a great opportunity where you could learn from at least 5,000 participants from all different sectors working on conservation, or their work directly relate to conservation. And also you could take the opportunity to share with others And we are, as a CEC, we are now planning some CEC-focused activities in the pavilions, which one of them will be rented by CEC, and to organize a series of topics, different topic, different either webinar or other events. In the past 2 World Conservation Congresses, we had a tattoo station. For your information, it's not only webinars, it's not only like meeting seminars and plus online webinars, but also different kind of like celebrations, like video, movie, festivals. Those are also focusing on conservation. And the tattoo station was to give people temporary tattoo that are all the tattoos are endangered species. And that was very popular among all the thousands of participants in the past 2 World Conservation Congresses. So I would strongly encourage youth from different countries, not only in East Asia, in South Asia and other part of the world, to join thousands of professionals in Abu Dhabi. And we look forward, as Professor Arakaki and others mentioned, we look forward to see all your names shining, pop up, sparkling in different occasions. And anybody else has any last minutes comments or information to share? Otherwise, we will close the webinar for now. For this one, and we will organize the next one in about 1 month's time.
Thank you. That will be appreciating if we will get together and organize such events on monthly basis, and the information we can share at global level. And the events, as you mentioned, especially we can nominate and recommend our youth conservationists to participate, learn, and share their experiences, because they will carry their legacy for the longer time.
Yes, thank you so much for organizing this. I also want to echo his voice. Please do this more often, so that we all can put our ideas, and we can also listen others, and we can collaborate somehow, being different part of the world as well. We can do, we can do better in our work.
Great, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Okay, I just put the sorry, while facilitating this webinar, I don't have time to find the website, the official website of the World Conservation Congress, but I've leave a message in the chat box. So please Google World Conservation Congress, you will find the official website. And I hope I could see, if not all of you, some of you there in October.
Hope to see you in the World Congress. And more, like, not only in the World Congress, more in the coming days, we can collaborate, we can work together, we can share our experiences, and, we can do that in our places as well, learning from others.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar on a weekend evening. I hope in the future we will maybe see you in person in the IUCN event, or
Yes,
an event organized by any other organizations. But also, I look forward to hearing your work and maybe see your sharing in the future.
yes, yes.
Okay. And thanks again to Adam and Daniel for the presentation. Very good presentations. And great. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Yes.